So as you know, listeners, these Badminton Diaries are brought to you by Eco Voltz. And we thought it would be quite fun to give you some top tips. If you've got an electric bike or you're thinking about getting one in the future, some top tips, some advice from Alan on how to make sure your bike is kept in the best possible conditions. So we're going to have one top tip a day for you. Alan, what have you got for us today?
Keep the battery charged. If you don't charge the battery, you're going to run into problems. You're going to not get round the course on a whole ride. So charging the battery keeps the battery alive for longer. So if you let it run flat and keep it flat, you're running the risk of having a dead battery.
There you go, listeners. There is your top tip of the day on how to keep your electric bike nice and healthy and happy, and make sure it's always ready to do its job. Alan, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Badminton Friday night. The messing is over. We've got the platform is in place, and all attention turns to what increasingly becomes, I think, a more and more interesting challenge for the event horses that we've just seen, which is Saturday, the cross country at Badminton, one of the most special times of the year anyway. Sam, you've talked a lot over the last 4 or 5 years about the role or where cross country is now in the sport. On a more macro level, before we talk about the course and you. Does it feel different, 5 years on today?
Yeah, we're really starting to see the effects of 5-star being different to the championships. So, not only we'd have been talking in the preview, no Lordship's Graffalo, no London 52, that kind of element of some horses not coming here ahead of a championship, which is new. That's kind of been emerging over the last few years. Great Britain would be the last nation to do that. They were always very pro badminton before a championship. Even the last World Championships and things like that. Now, you've then the Oliver Town, and for Oliver not to be here, that's really interesting. So it's the type of field, it's the makeup of the field that we see, and then it's our leader. So Ros Cantor and Isolot DHI. This question mark of will they handle badminton? Will they handle the reliability, the jumping clear, and can they make the time? So the 5-star they won in Poe, they had a hold on course. Ros has referenced that herself as probably playing into her hands and needing it. I think she would have said, I needed that. I think she's trying to talk down her chances of being a favourite this week, but she's 5 seconds in hand. She's a 2-penalty lead over Bobby Upton and Cola. So this is interesting. Whereas in the past, because they were all 5-star riders on 5-star horses, the top 5 in the world 10 years ago would have all had 2 horses here. There's not many riders in the top 10 in the world that have 2 horses here this week. And there's a lot of riders in the top 10 in the world that aren't even here at all. No Michael Young, no Oliver Townend, no Tom McEwen. Tim Price has won. Ros Cantor has won. So that's what's changing about badminton. Now, what that gives everyone who's watching badminton and listening to this and getting ready for tomorrow is you have the most spectacular course in the world. Tomorrow, that's what you're going to see, the ultimate in terms of cross country. Badminton is still badminton, it's class. And now you have all these new opportunities. And for me, actually, over the first 2 days, one of the biggest bits of news is not just Ros, who was our favourite on Prediction Centre beforehand, taking the lead in the first phase, doing what she does, affirming her reliability as a rider and her ability to deliver. It's the fact that in this new era of 5-star, where new names can come and strike and take the big titles, one of the people I thought could do that, put them up at the start of the year, David Dove, Galileo Newwood, put himself right there with his usual dressage score of 33, but when everyone else was scoring higher. So for me, this was the best position he's ever been in for a big one. Better position than he was at Burley, better position than he was at Badminton before here. I thought he could have really won it this year, and he's out, he's just withdrawn. I think that's huge news.
Yeah, we were sitting down by the lake and the message came through onto our WhatsApp just to say that he'd withdrawn. And it's a testament, I think, to him and to Galileo Newwood in that I jumped up when I looked at my phone and I said to you guys, and when I said the news to you guys, there was a collective, shock, you know. And
he would have been the plunger. Like if this was the Grand National, he was like the plot horse. He was the one, like the Gordon Elliott, you know, the one that you're going, oh, everything's lined up for this horse. It's all lined up this week. So anyone who's not here, absolute monsoon earlier in the week. So Monday they had so much rain. The place was flooded. They ran the grassroots cross country on Wednesday. So basically we all rocked in on Tuesday. We'd get towed in to the lorry park. Every lorry had to be towed into the lorry park. Not one lorry could drive in. That's how soft and wet it was. They ran the grassroots on Wednesday, tore the place up. It was heavy going. Heavy, like that's the word I'd use. Now we're all getting sunburned. Sun is splitting the rocks.
For the last couple of days.
For the last Thursday, Friday. Well, it was drying on Wednesday anyway, but Thursday and Friday have been hot. So it's getting quick, but we don't know. Everyone's talking about this dead ground. I think yesterday I was walking the course. Everyone was saying, oh, this is going to ride really testing. I think today the attitude's changing. I was talking to Roz. She's like, this is going to ride quick, isn't it? And it is going to ride quick in places, and it is going to be a bit dead in places. No one really knows. This is the other thing I love about eventing. Like I'd like to put myself down as one of the, you know, I'd like to call myself a good judge of ground and being able to call it before it happens. But my gut is that it's not going to ride as stamina sapping as people think. But Eric Winter is a genius at slowing us down. He's wheeled it incredibly tight. I think there's every chance that no one makes the time tomorrow. Every chance. That's big. That's a big statement. The night before cross country, that's partly the new era. It's partly Eric Winter. It's a very small bit the fact that we had rain at the beginning of the week. I think that's becoming less of a thing. But that's what makes Saturday is going to be the day. You talk to me like the big picture. It means everyone, you can sit down, get in place for Saturday of Badminton. It's the biggest day of the year again. Like that's it. Like in the sport, it's class.
You're touching on something that I think I was kind of trying to ask you at the outset in a unclear way. When we go back to 2013 was the first time I was here. And you go back to that cross-country day, and you go back to the superstars on show at the time, the cross-country superstars on show at the time. You know, I'm in my head, and you'll name more than me, but you had Clifton Promise, you had Nereo, you had Armada.
You had Nereo on a Grand Slam, you had Park Lane Hawk on a Grand Slam, and Andrew and William also had a second horse.
That was because of the
2012 had been rained off for Badminton.
So you had two horses on a very unique situation.
Oh, completely unique. Two horses here on a Grand Slam. We don't even have Oliver here on the Grand Slam this year. You had the Olympic champion. Sorry, he wasn't just the Olympic champion. He was the champion of everything. Lebiosthetic Sam was the reigning world, European, and Olympic champion at the time. He came here. Upton Luvo was part of the team.
Yet to become the world champion, but
he was a bronze medal, an individual bronze medal from the Olympics, team gold, like already a well-decorated horse. Here, so they were all here, but 25 to 30 went clear inside the time. So the leaderboard was made on Thursday and Friday, and the level of disruption to that leaderboard was minimal.
But it wasn't because, where I'm going with this is that tomorrow feels exciting to me. Even though they're not the superstars of cross country of 2013, like
it's movement. It's because the competition. There's going to be a massive competition tomorrow with loads of change
and jeopardy.
Yeah,
and sport happens. Yeah. But it's a different thing. Maybe this isn't really maybe like this is one for our overview shows, and this is one that we've definitely discussed before. But you know, and in a calmer place rather than, you know, just the night before Badminton cross country. But I do think for people who sit and have sat with this particular day, and it's become such a calendar piece for people over, you know, 5, 10, 20, 50 years of people sitting and watching this particular day. The reason I think, or the reason, you know, from talking to you and from looking at the numbers around it, the reason I think that it stays a really exciting day is no longer because they're cross-country machines, cross-country superstars, but because actually the sport stays very exciting, because actually particularly around the speed, I don't think it's the fact that they can't. I think it's the fact that I don't think it's the fact that it's the ground, to be honest. I think go to Burley last year.
Yeah, good ground, 2 inside the time.
These horses just aren't going to make 5-star times. I don't think you need it to be the Eric Winter effect of was it his first Badminton 2017 when Moe was one of the closest to the time, and even that I think was maybe the only one who made the time.
She won in 2018, yeah, she won it.
But was it the year before, I think, that she might have been the only one to make the time on his first year?
Yeah.
Something's telling me that, and she even had a stumble or something. Maybe she didn't make time. She was maybe like a second over, but she had a stumble or something coming out of the lake. And, God, if that's right, I'll be impressed with myself. But I do think where I'm going as well, though, pal, is I don't think it's just the Eric Winter influence. I don't think it's just the ground influence. I think it's actually the collection of horses that are here. And it's not because they're not great horses, but they're not the cross-country horses of 10 years ago. You still get to sit and watch an exciting day, a great day where there'll be movement and change, but for a different reason.
Yeah, you have opportunists in here, though. Like, there's, like, I'm looking at Bobby Upton and Cola there on the leaderboard, and I'm remembering, do you remember her last fence? Like, she was going to, again, a tough time year, a few years ago. She was flying around here, and at the last fence, she had a 20 penalties. And that was a huge moment, and like that cost her a huge result. She's put herself in a position to go and right that wrong. And again, it would be an incredible story given her the falls and stuff that she's been through. You have Tim Price and you have Vitali. I mean, again, it'll come down to the last day and things like that with him. But Boyd Martin and Setserleg, how many times have we put Setserleg up for a 5-star when you rewind the clock like 5 or 6 years? But could they do? They're all, and what I mean is that these kind of, it's an opportunist field. Emily King just sits behind them with Valmy Beat. She's got history at this place in terms of starting strong, and can she convert and finish it? And then even in eighth equal, William Fox Payton Grafanock, every hour of sunshine is playing into their hands.
Is it?
Every hour is playing into their hands. But they're all, it's open. Like, if we were, best way to summarize it, if we opened a book on it, it's so open. Okay, Roz is definitely clear favourite. She's at the top of the leaderboard. She's a 5-star winner. She's a surgeon when it comes to delivering. She's on a great show jumper. She's got a 30% win chance. No one else in the field has more than a 10% win chance.
Is that just in? Is that the new prediction centre?
Yeah. Just handed to me by Gakes. Bobby Upton and Emily King equal second on 9%. But, you know,
Bobby Upton, Emily King.
But it's wide open.
I mean, Spike.
That would be, yes, you make, so she's what, a 3-1 favourite, no, 2-1 favourite, and then it's 9-1 the field. You know,
so we do have an out-and-out favourite again.
Yeah.
What do you think? You know, I know that you expressed, I mean, she's obviously playing it down, and I know that yourself and Spike both said Isola would.
I'll make a prediction. I think she's leading. I think she loses the lead, and then I think she wins it back. I think she's going to get about 8 time penalties tomorrow, but she's going to jump. She's the best jumper, and a lot of these horses
Valmy Beats could jump, but might not stay close enough.
I'm looking at maybe a Vitali or a Setserleg, maybe even a Cola to overtake. You know, but Cola would be a good. You know, I do think a right second favourite here. Like I'd be more erring towards Cola than I would towards Valmy Beats. Cola has great experience, you know. And has delivered it at 5-star as well, but it's only
6. You know, if your prediction was to play out, only 6 of the last 11 cross-country leaders have actually gone on to win this competition.
Yeah, but how many times has someone led the dressage, lost the lead, and won it back? That's a Georgia Patrick question. That
might be never. Rosie's here.
Rosie's joining the podcast.
Here, do you want a quiz on those cross-country leaders since 2010 that went on to win? I've got the cross-country leaders here. 2010, Tapner, I Know Nothing, went on to win. 11, Land Vision. Who led it in 2013, do you think?
Labia Sadiq Sam.
Correct.
Last fence down.
2014.
The wet year, Sam Griffiths. Did Armada lead?
No, Kilronan, Paul Tapner. Pretty impressive, isn't it? 2010 winner and then leading it going into 2014 on a different horse. I know on Kilronan. Nereo led it in 2015, didn't convert. Then Sam led it in 2016, did. Oh my God, you remember 2017.
Hail Bob Day.
Happy Hail Bob Day. I'm looking behind me because Nicole stood with me and held me close for that particular...
God, 7 years on since you were jumping around like a little jumping jack talking about Happy Hail Bob Day.
Yeah, I know, they were the days. Classic Moe led it in 2018 and went on to win. Ballamore Class in 2019.
Will you stop going back through history? Everyone is here for Badminton 2024.
Oh, they were
young.
They were great years.
Gemma Stevens and Chili Knight in a good position. Pippa Funnel, MCS Maverick. Now, here, we're not really doing a massive dressage review other than that I'm going through the leaderboard here, but a talking point, like how stingy have the judges been? Like Pippa, I watched her test there on Maverick. She was worrying about him stable beside her. She was worried, was he going to boil over? There's that spectacular picture of him standing on his hind legs, prancing around at the trot up, which was kind of a scary moment for her. But he's a horse who could succumb to the atmosphere. He didn't. A masterful job from Pippa Funner to get MCS Maverick to produce a lovely test. But she didn't really get rewarded for it. At 31.9, I'd say she was delighted with the test, and she'll feel hard done by the mark. But she's in 12th place. This is a horse with Brahman form. This is a galloper. We could see Pippa Funnel back in amongst it at Badminton again. You know, we have to go back to 2002, 2003. She was a back-to-back winner. That would be great to see her. But the point being, folks, is you can keep scrolling. You've Janelle Price, Grappanera down in 22nd. They could climb. Tom Jackson, Cappel's Hollow Drift. That has to be a talking point in terms of disappointments. This is one thing eventing doesn't do that well, Dee, is we always champion who's doing well. You know, we're always going to put Roz leading, Bobby Upton, great result. We'll talk about the good things, but let's talk about the heartache as well. Tom Jackson, a man who's been on the podium at Burley, a man who's been handed one of the hardest things to get in this sport, which is a Team GB championship cap. He was given that opportunity last year at the Europeans. He finds himself in 22nd. He's 9 marks behind Roz. He'll climb, in my opinion. I could see him finishing in the top 5, but he'll be gutted that he's going to be up against it to win it, being 9.1 marks behind Roz Cantor. Will be big to overtake. But there's loads of potential movement in that field.
As you go through the names, it feels almost certainly now, because of what you describe as that opportunist badminton, a badminton of which, you know, has come together in a way which allows for these certain stories to unfold. Imagine it is Emily King. It's an amazing story. Imagine it's a back-to-back win for Roz Cantor as favourite. It's still an amazing story. Bobby Upton, an incredible comeback story.
Yeah.
Setzerleg, an incredible story for Setzerleg. Imagine Setzerleg comes to badminton.
Imagine the US,
winning badminton, but with that horse.
Exactly.
With that particular horse, I think it's so special.
I could see him leading tomorrow night.
But keep going. If William Fox Pitt and Grafenach, he probably retires on a badminton win if he does it. Pippa Funnel, she won't retire. There's no need for her to retire. But imagine Pippa, the darling of all of these, everyone that's below 40 is still walking around to me telling me I grew up with Pippa, I love Pippa. This place will rock.
It'll explode, yeah.
But this isn't Tom Jackson. One of these stories is going to happen. Is where I'm going with this. You know, we're about to watch something very special, I think, unfold.
Picking out some names further down into massive climbers. I'm looking down at what position are they on the leaderboard? The 39th equal. Wills Oakton, a class coolie. Sarah Ennis right behind on Grandstown Jackson. Sarah provided a masterful pathfinder role at the Europeans for the Irish team last year. Soft ground conditions. We know this horse can gallop. He's probably one of the most blood horses in the field in terms of thoroughbred and speed. And Sarah, like Roz Cantor, is small and light. So ground is definitely not going to be an issue for them. And I could really see them climbing. Zara Tyndall, we put up Class Affair all the time, as you know, it's normally talking about the Burley curse, but there's no badminton curse when it comes to those two, and they can be quick as well.
Imagine Zara won badminton.
Well, now winning, winning is going to be too big a stretch. I think from this, like we're talking about in 48th position, you know, that's just impossible. And it's not, if we'd run the cross country on Wednesday, for sure we could have seen a Sam Griffith story. You know what, 25th after dressage, climbing up to win. I think that's been the biggest climb we've seen.
Yeah.
We could have been talking about that. We're not talking about that now. Like the winner is coming from well, as I say, the leader is still a 30% win chance. So look, Roz Cantor is a clear favourite, but the winner is surely coming from the top 10 here.
Oh God, I'm just looking through tomorrow's data, and it's fairly. It just brings us back to that withdrawal tonight. Like the most reliable horse in the field, Galileo Neamwood, from jumping point of view, the fastest horse in the field, Galileo Neamwood, on their top speed percentage. It's a huge moment. If you go back to Kentucky, pal, we had 2 huge withdrawals in Chin Tonic and My Bomb. Fast forward here, we had a huge withdrawal at the start of the week, and now on Friday evening we have another one.
He's actually still in. We put the dressage into prediction centre. We haven't put some of these withdrawals in yet. So David is still here, actually 6th. Would have been going in with a 6% win chance of 50, a huge top 10, the second highest top 10 chance, reflecting that reliability as well. So when he comes out, you're going to see some of that win chance distributed again. Roz Cantor could creep up to maybe a 33% chance. But the key, you can read beyond it, guys. Not just, it's you don't have to solely go off numbers. I mean, they do a great job of sorting out 65 horses for you, but there is a big question mark over Iselot. That is the key story. That is going to be the key moment tomorrow. Are going to be the 11 minutes.
Their cross country, the second 5 minutes of their 11.
And the optimum time, 11 minutes 19 seconds. Is she going to be on course for 11 minutes 30, 11 minutes 40, or is she even going to see the finish line? You've got to remember, this was not a reliable horse if we rewind the clock 8 months.
I know, yeah.
Before that,
but in between that, Blair, Blenheim and Poe.
Yeah, a huge hat-trick. Like the hat-trick that you can have in equestrian sport, or in eventing, to win a 4 short, a 4 long, and a 5 long within 2 months. Absolutely insane. So the profile has changed, but form being temporary and class. I think that horse has come of age, but it's a big track out there. Let's talk about Eric's track. I've been critical in the past that he's not designed enough for run-outs. It's more being clear, or if you don't go clear, you might be coming out the side door. He's designed a bit more for run-outs this year.
Hey, we've just been on a quite a well-attended course walk. Would you agree? Were you surprised how many people turned up to listen to old Sam Boy talk about?
I'm sure some of you kind folk who didn't want me walking around on my lonesome on my course walk are listening to this show. So thank you to everyone who turned up for the course walk. It was well attended. I hope it was good fun. I ramble a lot, as I do on podcasts. I do.
My first fence, in terms of your rambling, which I said to you after, look, I really enjoyed your course walk and your
you said you'd learned something.
Your dissection of the course. But I arrived at fence 12.
Yeah.
And you after you gave me my clap and all that, which is kind of you, thank you. You were comparing like eventing to like happiness in life and that kind of do you remember?
Oh yeah, no, I was talking about you're not in control of seeing a stride is something that happens to you.
You're not in control of you're not in control of happiness.
Exactly, happiness is an emotional response.
Yeah, anyway. So I turned to the person beside me. I was like, does he do this for like all the? Does he give these kind of sermons for every fence? She's like, this is the first time he's gone into this far.
The first time he's gone off the rails.
This is the first time it's been this unhinged.
It was a sunny day, guys. The sun was getting to me.
No, joking aside, there was some. I did learn a lot. I learned. But tell me, what are the fences we need to watch? So if we're sitting there tomorrow, and we want to repeat something to our friends who don't listen to the podcast but are in our presence while we watch cross country tomorrow, what do you tell them? You say, keep an eye on fence.
So I think Huntsman's Close is a big question coming up. 2 left-hand corners. Now, they're rideable. They're more like they're on the level, but it's an acute turn in. So it's a real control, accuracy, and then of course bravery, because you're looking at these huge corners. Horses just have to really want to do the job. But if anyone is a bit rusty and they don't quite have that control and accuracy where it should be early on, they're going to find those tough. And if a horse isn't on a going day, that's the first time they're going to nip out the side door. So Huntsman's Close is influential. Then there's a good bit of jumping in the lake, actually, like that skinny coming out, but I think it's straight in front of you. So I think the lake is okay this year. I'd go for his next big, in terms of a run-out question, comes down at that Vicarage line. It's around fence 15. He's got these eyelashes to a ditch on a bit of an angle to another eyelash coming out. Now, they're tall. It's just the footwork in there. Like any horse who wants to scrap for you and fight for you and get to the other side, they'll be okay down there. But I don't think any rider really knows whether that's going to be 1 stride, 2 stride, or 2 strides and 2 strides, or 2 strides and 3 strides. And Eric designs like that. I was saying on the course walk, Eric doesn't just design to reward good cross-country riding. He designs to reward good cross-country horses. He wants to disrupt the flow a little bit and rely on horses with good footwork and a strong desire to fight for you and get you through the other side. Oh, and then the fence straight after, up to Giuseppe's Water. I saw Giuseppe Della Chiesa today. He is a ray of sunshine. The sun was already shining, but I love it. He's just one of my favourite eventing people. And David O'Connor, saw him.
I was going to say, you won't get through, you couldn't mention Giuseppe without mentioning your other dad, David. But if you had to, if you were out on a boat and you had to, and they were sitting at either end, and you could only, there wasn't enough. The boat was taken in water. Just think about it. The boat was taken in water. It's Giuseppe or David. One of them has to go. Who? I know they're like your 2 dads.
No, but I'm not.
Would you jump? You'd probably sacrifice yourself.
I think for the greater good of eventing, I would just have to give up my place and say, "Here, lads." Anyway, look then. But Giuseppe's Water, there's a good pull up to it, but Eric has put a right old angle log there. I think what's interesting is this. It's been a while. I can't remember the last time. It'll spring to mind where we were watching a cross country course and there was this long route. So it didn't take too long, but it did waste like 5 to 10 seconds. But a lot of good people trying to win the competition were potentially going to take this long route. And I think tomorrow, people at the top of the leaderboard could end up doing a circle coming out of that water. So this little tree trunk, it's separately numbered. So you could come straight out, ride past it, not present to it, turn back on yourself, turn on a little sixpence and jump it and go away. Now the problem for me there is you're set over 7 minutes into the course. The horses are sort of like you're wasting energy as well as time. I'd much prefer, but it's a blind turn. Like it's a tough little turn. It's a menacing little turn coming up that hill. So that's a big risk reward question on course. I think that's a really interesting one to watch. Not just do they jump it clear, but did they go straight or not? A bit of jeopardy, a bit of decision making and strategy coming in there. It's going to be like a pit stop in Formula One. Are they going to waste time or not?
That one that I think I started with, fence 12. You said to me, I'm pretty sure it was this one. You said, "Oh no, maybe it was after the broken bridge." You said riders won't like this because it's
that was that. That's that.
There's no certainty.
That's French 15. Yeah, there's no certainty in terms of what the stride pattern will be. Yeah. I think he's built the one stride is a little bit long coming in because they come in over the hedge. They can't see this angledy ditch with water in it on the other side, and as they see it, they'll just draw back a little bit. It walks quite long anyway, and when they draw back, so loads of horses will fiddle in too. I'd say mine probably.
Okay, you love cross country, and you think about this and you talk about this stuff all the time, but it does take a huge level of understanding of minutiae, some of which is beyond words, some of which is just instinct in a moment and comes from that hours and hours and hours. But when you're piecing together and trying to articulate those different pieces, so you're already managing the ground, you're managing the stride, or you're managing the speed at which you're arriving into this situation on. You're also anticipating that there is going to be a little bit of pullback, even if it's only slight, once they realise the challenge being asked of them. Go back 14 years maybe. How long is it since your very first one?
My first one was 15 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So go back 2009, 2010, because there's plenty of riders here who are much, much younger in their journey, either first or second time here. Do you know that yet, even if you love the sport? Like, is that something that you just...
I think I'd describe it, if you watch, I'm going to name 3 sports here, right? You're going into injury time in a soccer match with 8 minutes to go. Let's say 11 minutes to go, because that's the length of the cross country, and it's a draw, and you're looking for, that the bulk of what you've got to do, 95% of what you've got to do is stick to the process, stick to it, but at some point an opportunity is going to have to come, and you're going to have to instinctively take it. You've got to be ready to react. It's the same in a rugby match, last 10 minutes of a rugby match, but it's the game is tied, and it's whether you're going to have to pounce to attack or whether you're going to have to be ready to defend. A moment is going to happen where you're going to have to be ready to pounce. And you've got to, and I think the difference between experience and not experience, and then a tennis match, a tie break in the last set or something like that, the key is it's 95% stick to the process and then be ready for when you might just have to. Now, sometimes it'll be 100% process and your opponent will just make a mistake. And you can't, and that the equivalent of that is you just have a perfect cross-country round, no moments, it just all went to plan, all went really smoothly. They can happen, but normally there's a moment. And Eric Winter, more than any other course designer, creates these moments of uncertainty, whereas a rider, you just have to trust that if you manage the things, if you control the things you can control, you just got to trust your experience, trust your horse, trust your process, that you'll just react and do the right thing in that moment. Eric just does it more than any designer, and most riders know tonight that there are things they cannot plan for 100%, and they have to go to sleep tonight, and they have to wake up in the morning, and they have to leave the start box at whatever time it is tomorrow afternoon with this uncertainty hanging over them that they will be able to get the job done, and their horse will be able to do that job in that moment that they cannot predict what's going to happen. I think that's a great element to cross country, but I know that some riders will struggle with that, and I would have 15 years ago. I wanted to have plan A.
What's it feel like doing an exam? Like, I'm trying to put myself back in that situation where I'm turning over the paper, and my Irish listeners will remember leaving cert. You know that you've done a lot of work, and you know that you probably know most of the answers, but you just don't know what it is as soon as you turn that over.
And I'll tell you what the equivalent is, D, is there'll be a lot, the way we'd nearly walk to the exam with the book, with the last few things, like the key things that we need to revise, one last look at that table, or one last look at that thing, those notes, one last look at my notes before I go in, and then I'll chuck them down to the side. People be doing that. They'll be on the cross country app, or they'll have their own notes. They'll be looking at their pictures on their phone that they've made, little notes they've made. Some people be really like that. I would say I'm probably more at a stage now where I accept there's only so much that being in the detail is going to matter. Like, I know I'll walk the course again tonight, and I'll walk the course in the morning. I'll walk it tonight with Sparks, and it'll be more informal. I'll walk it by myself in the morning, and I'll be really visualizing the feeling that I'm going to have going through the fence. Like, I'll literally feel myself riding that, what it's going to be like on the horse.
Have you always been like that, or has that come in more recent years?
No, that's kind of, well, I'd have said maybe 10 years ago, my last coursework would be solidifying what plan A is. And I was much more that there was a plan A. Now I'm just like, this is what it should feel like, but I'm so happy with plan A, plan B, and plan C.
Do you walk it for yourself really only? Like, do you ever, I know you're in a different part of your career now, but I remember you talking about, or feeling, I remember you describing the feeling of walking tracks with Andrew back in the day. I remember Camilla used to always take a lot from walking it with Francis Whittington for some reason. I remember he was always a thinker about the sport as well, that she enjoyed walking tracks with. Is there anyone still in the sport? Like, I know I saw you talking to Roz today over some of the combinations. That's different, isn't it? Riders do like to share and discuss at combinations.
Yeah, because I lived and was based with Laura for a long time. So, and I walked, and when I'm not riding, but I'm at an event, so I walked the course with Laura last year, and then she didn't bother running. We've not walked it this year, so like no, at this point in time, no, I haven't walked it down. But I'm always happy. Like like on our course walk today, talked through 2 or 3 different fences with Roz, and you're bouncing off each other in terms of what you think, and there's plenty of that. Like I'm sure I'll meet riders out on the course tonight and in the morning, and you discuss things. There's no one here where it would be we allot time to walk around it together, but that happens at some events. I'm always open to that. Very approachable.
But later again, I'm going back to when I was in the Badminton Lorry Park with you guys earlier on in all of our journeys, and I remember like people would sit and discuss like, is it 2 strides?
Yeah.
Is it 3 or 2? I'm like, there was so much conversation. Like, does that still happen? Is that something that happens when you're younger?
I think Chris Bartle, Lucinda Green, Eric Winter, I think the way they talk about the sport now, they've bought this acceptance of unpredictability a little bit more. So I think there's been a general shift in the sport away from this is the floor plan, this is how it was designed, this is how you're meant to ride it, to a bit more. I'm sure even people here for their first badminton are happy enough to be like, it might be 2, it might be 3.
Another thing I learned on the course walk today is that last minute and a half has 8 jumping efforts, which means that there's a little galloping patch, probably somewhere between minute 9 and minute 10. Would that be correct?
Yeah, just off the back of minute 8. Well, it's actually minute 9 happens halfway through the gallop. It's coming up from what used to be the Shogun Hollow. I don't know. I'm given fault. Other brands are available. I'm not sure what it's called this year, but he's got his new drop fence.
Ineos Grenadier.
You know better than me. He's got a new drop fence to 2 little pimples, and then it's a right old gallop up to some outrageously wide logs. So, but that gallop, that's your last chance to make up a bit of time. And again, we just don't know how tired they'll be. I'd be surprised if Talisman was. He was still full of running after 11 and a half minutes of Burley. So, I think you'll be all right. I'm about 2 or 3 kgs lighter than I was at Burley. Well, 2 kgs lighter than I was at Burley.
How are you feeling, though, more importantly?
Yeah, I feel good.
Can't believe the amount of people who've told me that you look like a little slim, sleek little...
You introduced me to the fasting. And I said to you only like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Gigs introduced me.
And
Gigs got me.
So I'm a 16-8 man now. So... I've really taken on board. And I said to you, I was like, sure, I can't do that because I need breakfast because I got to ride my horses and I don't want to. And you go, I think you find, you would be able to ride them on an empty stomach. And it's true. And my energy, I'm so productive in the morning. I wake up like I'm a machine ready to go. And I'm not really hitting flat spots. So no, I'm in great form. And Talisman's in great form. I hope he's not too good. Like he feels the atmosphere. He felt it in the dressage, threw away some very expensive marks, but did some lovely work around it. Getting him into the start box, like planning that warm-up, it's not conventional with him. We'll probably go from the stable straight into the start box, having done a warm-up an hour and a half beforehand, maybe. So look, getting him out the start box is probably the biggest. There's probably the most uncertainty in that for me tomorrow. But once he's out on course, I can't wait.
I can't wait as well. I think it's it's something that we'll all be looking forward to. On your energy levels before we go, I think I've actually uncovered something more interesting in terms of the why. So if you remember in January and February, and up to about the 10th of March, I was feeling fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I used to tell you every day, I don't know why, but I'm feeling very good. This intermittent fasting, I think that could be the reason. But whatever it is, I don't know. I'm in a good place. I'm just going to let you know I'm in a good place. At the time, you were in rag order. You were not in good shape. Now, as our kind of married working life has developed alongside each other, I've realised that there was probably a good chunk of you were carrying quite a lot. You were carrying quite a lot there. Meanwhile, now you're in great shape.
Yeah.
I've moved into the rack order category. It turns out like the only reason that one of us is ever okay is that the other one is, what's that thing you always shout at me? The
Footsteps in the
footsteps in the sand.
Carrying the other. Why was there only one of you walking in the beach?
The other was,
I was carrying it.
good luck tomorrow, pal, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, folks.